Welcome to this webinar where we will briefly discuss Ahlstrom-Munksjö as a company, our capabilities, and give more details about our product range. So Bianca, are you sharing the presentation now?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
So,
Second, we're experiencing
sharing
technical
screen.
difficulties.
Please let me know if everybody can see the screen all right.
Yes, should be coming up. So, thank you very much, everyone, for joining this webinar, where, as I said, we will briefly talk about Ahlstrom-Munksjö as a company and give in a little bit of insight of our capabilities. Next slide, please. We will be discussing a few different aspects of our new product development and more technical details. So I would just make a brief introduction of Ahlstrom-Munksjö as a company. My name is Claes Leck. I am the head of sales of our Advanced Liquid Technologies division. We will also be joining or have our partner company, Kenosha Tapes, joining us for a few slides. And this is Anthony Lemprigen. I don't know if I pronounced this correctly, Anthony, or not, from Kenosha. And giving our technical presentation will be Stephanie Pigeon-Remy, who is the brain of our company, and also our technical expert in IVD portfolio, Frédéric Birbien, who's joining us, both of them from our French facility in Pont-Évêque, south of Lyon. Next slide, please. Next, yes. A few words about Ahlstrom-Munksjö. We are maybe more known to most of you as Ahlstrom. Since last year, we merged with Munksjö, a Swedish company, also a specialty paper manufacturer. So together we created the world's largest specialty paper manufacturer globally. We are about 6,200 employees, and we have a true global presence. We have an annual sales of about 2.2 billion euros. And we have our head office, which I'm very pleased to see since last year, in Sweden. We also have our company publicly listed in the Helsinki and the Stockholm Stock Exchange. Next slide, please. Just a few words about our different business areas. As I said, we are the world's largest specialty paper manufacturer. Well, what does that mean? Well, we do specialty papers that really are niche products that not so many other companies are doing. So we're working in fields such as decor business. When you think about furniture manufacturing, you use a lot of paper to do coating. IKEA is one of our biggest customers. We also have a big presence, I would say about 50% of the world market, within oil and fuel and particle filtration for vehicles, which is our filtration and performance division. There's also a lot of different type of industrial solution products that we do, such as abrasive backings or electrostatical insulation material. The business areas where we are present within our lab and life science portfolio that we'll discuss about today is called specialities. And it's called specialities for a reason, because we put a lot of R&D focus and a lot of high growth, let's say, areas within this business division. So this is really a crucial part of our business right now is R&D, is focus, is innovation. We do about 2.2 billion, as I said, and it's split between these different 4 business areas. Next slide, please. So a few words about Ahlstrom and our strength as one of the leaders. I would say that we are the leader within the IVD portfolio for media. So we do everything from, we will go through the presentation later on, sample pads, conjugate release pads, absorbent pads. We do plasma separation media. And we have a very strong focus in R&D, developing the best products available in the market. In some cases, we're maybe not the cheapest one in the market, but we have a very strong emphasis in developing our quality. In the last, let's say, few years as well, we also developed a lot of different diverse coating capabilities. So we can customize coating, and we can do impregnation to all the different media that you might require. We also have put a lot of effort in developing our capabilities within converting, so we can cut, split, do reels, roll, strips, whatever size you might require as a customer. So this would ease your burden in terms of investing high amount of equipment and so on for your converting capability. So we can basically deliver whatever size and shape or form that would be required by the market. Next slide. Also, a few words about our general capabilities. We are mostly in paper manufacturing. As if you're a paper company, you talk about wet lathe production, where you can use either wooden pulp, you can use cotton fibers, that would be absorbent media, or synthetic fibers. There's also other capabilities that we have as air lathe, needle punch manufacturing, spun bond. I'm not going to go into details about this, but melt blown electric fitting, which you can use to enhance the performance of the media. In terms of the treatment and post-treatment, as I said before, we use a lot of different types of specialized coating information that would also maybe ease the burden. And if you have, for instance, a special need, this means that we can have a large machine doing coating, and by doing this, we can also decrease the cost per unit. Instead of having, for instance, handmade coating, we can do this online. And finally, as I said, we also have a lot of different areas in terms of converting, slitting, lamination, and printing as well, in terms of this. Next slide. So, next, please. Yes, as a short summary of our life science portfolio, we focus in two primary areas. And that would be, first of all, in our DBS portfolio that has been developed over the last couple of years, where we have DNA collection cards, is also into what we call the DMPK market, preclinical trials for the pharmaceutical and CRO industry. We're also developing a lot of different fiber-based media, meaning cards used for blood or saliva for infectious diseases in other areas in the world where you use a quite sophisticated but very, I would say, intelligent way of sampling products. So our specimen collection is one part of our portfolio. The second one is what we discussed today. It's our IVD range, where we are the world leader within the sample pads, conjugate release pads, and absorbent pads. So this is as a very short introduction of Ahlstrom-Munksjö as a company, and we will go into more details about our capabilities, our product range, and a little bit more about our products. I will leave the stage to my dear friend and our partner company, Kenosha Tapes, and Anthony. Again, Lemkrigen. I'm not too good at pronouncing your name. So please, Anthony, stage is yours. Thank you. I think we lost Anthony.
Have you got me now? Hello?
Yes. Yes. Now we.
Sorry.
Yes.
I put it on mute. Sorry. So, good morning, everyone. Yes, as Klaus explained, we decided to join hands in certain areas, mainly for lateral flow and also a specific set of customers. Ahlstrom already has quite a few customers in Europe. But it's very logical to work together, because really, if you look at a lateral flow test and you see all the components, talking about the especially the filtration materials, there's every area where it is directly in contact with our adhesive films. It's either a backing or it's a cover tape, and not all size fits all. Basically, when we are talking about tapes, you have all kinds of filter materials, different wet strengths. So you also need to have custom adhesive sometimes for these filters. So it kind of makes sense also for the customer that they can talk to one party and of course get all the materials from us. I think that Kenosha, I'm not so sure how much introduction we really need, but I'd like to go to the next slide, please. Yes, so as I explained, we're working together to offer you convenience. One contact person, of course, we have the whole Ahlstrom team behind us to support any technical issues. Well, we've been in this for a long time and have a lot of knowledge and experience in lateral flow. So we also have gone one step further. We are actually have equipment now in the Netherlands where we can actually die cut and cut rolls and to very small sizes for customer requirements. So we would get the large rolls from Ahlstrom and cut to size, which I think is a very strong added value for the customers and also saves on logistics. We've decided at this webinar to focus more on the Ahlstrom materials and less on Kenosha. The next one will have probably more highlights on Kenosha and maybe less on Ahlstrom. So I'd leave it here for now. Thank you.
Thank you, Anthony. And now I think we have Stephanie.
No, I'm gonna talk about the different materials that Ahlstrom-Munksjö can provide for the lateral flow immunoassay application. So if we go to the next slide, an immunoassay is basically based on the antibody antigen reaction. That's the case for the ELISA test. But when we add the lateral flow aspect, we need to have porous materials with filtration properties and wicking properties as well. And I would say that a consistent flow of analytes and a good release of the conjugate reagent will contribute to a good sensitivity and a good reproducibility as well. So as it is described on this drawing, Ahlstrom-Munksjö produce and sell sample pad, conjugate pad, and absorbent pad. All of those pads will be details in the next slides. So next slide, please. The first pad of lateral flow immunoassay is a sample pad. It is here to absorb the matrix, to filter it if required, and it's also here to make sure that the analytes could flow along the strip in the different reactions areas. So these materials is made of different nature that could be glass, microglass, cotton, or blend of fibers. And I would say if we look at the pictures between glass and microglass, they are different in terms of porosity. It is mainly the size of the fibers which make the porosity different, and that will lead to a difference in filtration and in absorption as well. For example, if you take a urine matrix, that doesn't require so much filtration, so it would be better to use the glass materials. Now, comparing the nature of the fibers, if we compare the microglass with the cotton, you could see that the permeability is very similar. But the cotton has the ability to absorb the matrix quicker due to the cotton. So in the case of viscous matrix, for example, saliva, we would prefer to use the cotton more than the microglass. I would say that microglass and the blend of fibers are mainly here for filtration performances. If you want to filter, for example, milk, the fat could be more filtered by the microglass. As far as the blend of fibers, it's really air to have a certain porosity, and it has been developed in Ahlstrom-Munksjö for the side to set. I will explain that later. One point I wanted to say is that analytes shouldn't bind with the materials. So it is important to make sure that the analytes can flow correctly. And another point is about the thickness. For each natural fibers materials, we have different thickness. That's able you to fit the right materials with the cassette, because in the cassette, when you close it, there is some pressure point, and you can see that the materials sample pad is overlapping a conjugate pad, and so the pressure point will be there to assure the good pressure and so the good flow. So now I'm gonna jump to the next slide in order to talk a bit more about cytosep, because for cytosep we have 5 different grades. Some are different by their thickness, and if we talk about the grade 1660, 1662, and 1667 and 1668, they have the same thickness, but they have different properties. The main challenge for the plasma separation is really to make sure that we can block the red cells without creating hemolysis. Hemolysis means the release of hemoglobin in the plasma. This hemoglobin can color the plasma, and so that will generate some trouble of reading of the T line or C line of the lateral flow immunoassay. So that's why it has been developed some times ago. The cytosep 1660, it absorbs quickly the materials and can retain the red blood cells diffusion. But at the same time, some people ask us to be able to load more blood. So if we for the same area of the pad. So for this, we have reviewed a bit the fiber blend, and we have launched this product 1667. So we still have a mechanical retention of the red blood cells, but we have a better plasma separation. We can recover more plasma. So that means we will have more analytes. And once again, the breakthrough is the addition of chemical. So that means we have treated the 1667 in order to get the 1668. And thanks to this chemical action, we can absorb very quickly the red cells, so that to avoid any clotting of the blood. And at the same time, we can get more plasma again. And so meaning more plasma mean more analytes, and that will go in the good direction for getting the better sensitivity. So I'm gonna talk now about the next pad. So on the next slide, there is the discussion about the conjugate pad. So this material is very crucial because it is dispensed by the customer the conjugate reagent. What I mean by conjugate reagent, the conjugation between the antibody and different labels. Labels, it's just there to have a color of the lines and in order to see the intensity of the lines. And these labels can be a gold, can be a nanocellulose beads, magnetic beads, or latex as well. And so the main properties of the conjugate pad is first to accept this conjugate reagent, first to stabilize it, because we don't have to destabilize the interaction between the gold and the antibody. And when the end user will use the lateral flow immunoassay, the matrix has to resuspend correctly the conjugate reagent, and the conjugate gold or conjugate latex should be released completely in order to achieve the best sensitivity. So in Ahlstrom-Munksjö, we have two different nature of materials. There is the spunbond PET and the glass materials. So both are pretty open, but they have some differences. The glass materials is hydrophilic, so that doesn't require to the customer to pre-treat with any surfactant or any buffer. And on the contrary, the PET is hydrophobic. That is one of the limitations. So that's why the customer will have to pre-treat these materials with surfactant or pre-treatment recipe. We will see later that the limitation of those materials is we are working on this limitation. If I come back to the bond PET, the good point is the strength, and it has a good surface resistance. At the contrary, for the glass, I would say that in some cases, if you use, for example, the spray, like air jet bioduct equipment, you can generate some disturbance on the surface. But once again, we're working on. And finally, just to say that by experience, PET is more suitable for a good release of latex and nanocellulose bead, whereas the glass is more suitable for the gold conjugate. Once again, for both natural materials, we have different thickness in order to help you to find the right one which fit with your cassette designs and lateral flow assay designs. Now we're gonna talk about the next pad. That's the next slide. On the next slide, please. That is the absorbent pad. So this absorbent pad doesn't look very specific, but it's very, very important because these materials overlap the membrane, and so it is here to wick the liquid. The liquid, when I mean liquid, when I say liquid, I mean the matrix, and some cases it's chasing buffers. So this materials is made of cotton linter only, and in Ahlstrom-Munksjö we have different thickness. So the customer has to pick the right one and to make a compromise between the thickness and the water absorption capacity. So that will really depend on the lateral flow immunoassay design. So I'm gonna let the speech to my colleague Stephanie. We'll talk about innovation in the lateral flow.
Thank you very much, Frédéric. Let's talk now about our innovation capabilities. In Ahlstrom-Munksjö, we are committed to continuously improve our offering and develop, let's say, innovative materials to fit our customer needs. So, when it comes to improving qualitative and quantitative test method, we really do think that offering better fiber homogeneity of conjugate pad is a key factor. Keeping this point in mind, great care has been taken during the recent developments and manufacturing of our new conjugate pad in optimizing the process and the fiber characteristics in order to lead to significant improvements. We have improved the fiber homogeneity that constitutes one of the major contribution to the coefficient of variation. We have also targeted consistent thickness, since variation in the thickness can affect the bed volume, the cassette format, and the signal visibility as well. Having a conjugate with fiber orientation in both directions improves the capillary rise for an easier scale-up with the reel-to-reel process. Finally, for best results, we really think that the material must be hydrophilic by nature with good surface properties for easier addition of conjugate using the spray method. While improving these, let's say, these parameters, we have also to keep in mind that we had to preserve some key characteristics, such as the mechanical property for reel-to-reel use, the stability, so that the conjugate does not destabilize the conjugate pad does not destabilize the conjugate over the entire shelf life. And we also keep in mind that we had to preserve the quick release without addition of chemicals. Next slide, please. So in this context, let me give you an overview of our recent developments in conjugate pads. And let's start by our new generation of hydrophilic polyester conjugate pad called the 60-14. We have approached the synthetic conjugate with a new technology platform, resulting in material that is hydrophilic when untreated and composed of small homogeneous fibers for increased uniformity. This better uniformity leads to improved performance consistency between assays. Because the media is naturally hydrophilic, pretreatment can be applied more easily without, let's say, an initial wetting step. This 60-14 exhibits a higher absorption capacity compared, for example, to the 60-13, which means lower volume of chemical needed to pre-treat the same surface area. Thanks to high pore size and hydrophilicity of the fiber structure, this material has a good wicking rate, suitable for tests requiring a rapid interpretation. Finally, this new conjugate pad fits very well different designs with a variety of reagents, such like gold nanoparticles or even latex bead. Let's move to another fiber structure, which is microglass fiber. We continue to investigate ways to improve the performance of the, let's say, familiar microglass fiber with a new generation of binder type of conjugate pads. We have updated our process method to produce two new grades, the 89-14 and the 89-17. By offering a better fiber homogeneity, we have also improved the overall uniformity of the materials, and we have also achieved a very good coefficient of variation. Both materials are naturally hydrophilic. There is no surfactant addition in the 89-14 and 17, but the amount of binder is different from a pad to another. The 89-14 having the lowest content of PVOH compared to the 89-17. And we think that this is a key point if you want to compare two different amounts of blocking agents and choose the best option fitting your pre-treatment recipes. The other consequence is that the mechanical properties of both pads are slightly different. The wicking rate has been improved as well, which is suitable for tests requiring a rapid interpretation. And finally, the low porosity with a good surface property allows the label conjugate to hold out on the surface. Let's move to the next slide to talk about our new absorbent pad that completes our existing portfolio. So as Felix said, the key attribute of the absorbent pad is the bed volume. There has to be enough pore volume in the absorbent pad to accommodate the full volume of sample that needs to be processed. In this respect, most absorbent pads are made of cotton fibers, which is a living material, very hygroscopic. And in contact with water, absorbent pad made of cotton swells, and it changes the absorption kinetics. However, for specific application, one major consideration associated with the use of the absorbent pads is to quickly clear the membrane, and so to get access to the readout in shorter time. That's the reason why we have decided to add dimensionally stable fibers, mainly glass fibers, to the basic cotton fiber structure in our new developed absorbent pad called the 440. This material quickly absorbs a higher volume of liquid and so limits the swelling commonly observed with only cotton fibers, as you can observe on both pictures of this slide. As a result, the drying of the membrane with this absorbent pad is much faster, and the line is better defined. Let's move to the next slide. Now I will give you an overview of our second area of expertise, which is the treatment of fiber-based materials. Ahlstrom-Munksjö has developed a unique expertise in chemical treatment technologies to get new fiber media features. In our R&D center located in France, we have 2 pilot and production machines that are medium-sized industrial processes, which allow us to pre-treat our pads according to your specification, to the specification of our customers, to get medium to large size of finished products. Our machines are automated. We are able to ensure that the coating of different chemical formulation is uniform with lot-to-lot consistency. This automation aspect provides a cost-effective solution with limited resources needed. And it's time-saving for our customers, as they don't have to care about chemical and waste management. The flexibility of our treatment capabilities enable us to adapt the best coating methods to treat diverse thicknesses, porosities, and even fiber compositions. In terms of quality control, we have put in place specific cleaning procedure of the production line in order to eliminate potential risk of contamination. And we have equipment and standard methods for online and offline controls of key parameters. And once again, thanks to the flexibility of our process, possible development of new control testing in compliance with specific application can be set up. So in conclusion, we are committed to support our customer in the development of their own tests, thanks to our customized treatment capabilities, and this is a service we put at your disposal. Next slide, please. In this context of pre-treatment, Ahlstrom-Munksjö offers a conjugate release pad pre-treated with a standard chemistry that we applied with our automated continuous process. We started from an hydrophobic polyester fiber materials, very challenging to treat and process with reel-to-reel equipment. And we turned it into what we called Lateral, an hydrophilic pad you can easily treat manually or automatically with a reel-to-reel process. Like I said, Lateral is a conjugate release pad pre-treated with a standard solution composed of blocking agents, detergents, and proteins, so very well-known components. And Lateral is designed mainly to produce rapid reweighting of the pad during the use of the test, increase the level of gold release to improve the sensitivity on an average of 25% in the line visibility. Lateral is also able to improve the consistency of gold release with uniformity of surface due to continuous automated application of the chemical solution. And finally, this pre-treated pad maintains reproducible performance over time. Let's move to the next and the last slide. Let's finish by talking about our converting capabilities. We do a lot of converting in our facilities based in US and in Europe, which enable us to propose customized formats such like rolls, strips, sheets with a wide variety of dimensions. These converting capabilities bring us flexibility in sampling our customers with free formats for validation of multiple lots. So in conclusion, what we really want you to take away from this webinar is that from the development to the manufacturing of the fiber-based media, to then the customized treatment, and finally to the converting of our pads, we control the entire supply chain, and we are proud to make this expertise available to support you in the development of your assays. Now it's time to thank all of you for your attention, your participation today to this webinar, and all the participants will be more than happy to answer to any questions you may have. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Stephanie, Fred, and Anthony. So we leave the stage now open for any type of questions. Is there any question regarding our range, our products, etc.? No, nothing? Somebody would like to add something else? Fred, Anthony, Stephanie?
Well, I'd like to say something about a typical issue that comes up with cover tapes very often is, as Stephanie explained, there are surfactants available. Sometimes it's like surface dust, and people have trouble sticking the cover tape onto the pads. And this becomes worse when you go into the next stage and you're cutting into strips, because now you're putting more stress on a tape which is actually not stuck very well to the pad. And of course, it all comes off and it becomes a real mess, and you have a lot of waste. So I keep repeating this. Maybe people have heard this too often from me, but it's never a bad thing to say it again. When you have difficulty putting a top tape on to the pad, sometimes you have to wait for 4 hours, because the adhesive has to actually flow out and wet the surface and anchor itself, hopefully minimally, because you don't want it to penetrate too much into. But our adhesives are coated in such a way that they don't penetrate the filters too much and block the pores. But you really have to give it about 4 hours to set, and then the adhesive builds up its strength. And after 24 hours, it is the strongest. So sometimes it's just for experimental purposes. It's good to put it on, wait for a while, and then see what happens. It's not like once you stick it on and say, oh, it doesn't work, let's have something else. Now, if after 24 hours it doesn't bond, that means it'll never get any better, because the kinetics of adhesion are such that after 24 hours it just doesn't improve. And in that case, we have other adhesives which are more, I would say, aggressive, which is not the right word, but it has a better grab. And usually we have 1 or 2 other products which are a step up in terms of adhesion strength. So we have solutions for that, but it's always good to find out first if the actual product is working or not before going to the next stage. That's one thing I wanted to add. Has anybody else had this experience maybe before with the tapes? It seems we have perfect customers. They know everything, which is good.
No questions. Well, I would say if we have no further questions, as Anthony pointed out initially as well, we will focus, we will do probably another webinar focusing a little bit more about the corporation as well, and between Ahlstrom-Munksjö and Kenosha. Stephanie, I believe that you had something to add as well about we are going to participate at the Biodot seminar, correct?
We are going to attend the Biodot exhibition in Zaragoza.
Yeah.
And Frederic and our colleague David Wayne will attend this exhibition. So they will be more than happy to meet you and discuss about lateral flow immunoassays.
Yes, and those dates are, again, Biodot seminar, Fred?
Fred, I think we lost him.
Sorry, I was in mute. So The
workshop.
Operon Biodot seminar will be held on the week 20, so in 2 weeks in Zaragoza.
2 weeks time, we will exhibit at the Biodot seminar. If any of you would be attending there, you're more than welcome to come and discuss further with us. No further questions. If there are no further questions or comments and so on, I think we thank everyone for their time and the participation. And then we're looking forward to having the next webinar. Nothing else?
Thank you very much.
I conclude this meeting, and thank you again to everybody involved. Thank you so much.
Bye.
I wish you a nice day. Thank you. Bye-bye.